Hello and welcome to another midweek episode of the Successful Mentalist podcast. Of course, my name's Ashley Green. I'm joined by the wonderful Aidan O'Sullivan. And before we start dissecting one of the things we want to talk about today, which is why time for money sucks and why that whole kind of thing around it really just doesn't work. I want to just appreciate one thing. 31 just the tips we've done, Aidan. 31! This is our 31st one. How mad and crazy is that?
That's not 31 episodes, that's 31 weeks since we thought, let's be children and launch a little bonus podcast episode called Just the Tip and see how it lands. People love our little tips and we've kept sharing them every week on the internet.
Oh, no.
Oh, God, I'm so sorry. That was not even funny. Are we keeping that in? Oh, God, we keep that in. Anyway.
Yeah, that's staying in, and that awkwardness is staying in as well. But today, Aidan, what are we talking about?
Yes, for God's sake, I'm so sorry, everyone. We're talking about time for money here, and this is the concept of, like, 2 hours of entertainment is going to cost this much, 3 hours of entertainment is going to cost this much, you can have a half an hour show for this much or a 40-minute show for this much. But basically charging by time is what we're saying here. It sucks. And our big call to action for you is to stop charging by time. Because, well, there's so many reasons but ultimately it's just a bit shit.
It doesn't work. Like, I've got a meeting later with a client and she has messaged me. It's like, hey, how much do you charge for an hour and a half of entertainment? And I've just said, look, let's hop on a chat because I do things very differently. Because I don't charge for an hour and a half of entertainment. I charge for specific things, specific packages, which we will get into in a second. An actual product that does the job. Because here's the thing. If you go out and say, yep, and I don't know many good friends actually and professional entertainers who go out and say, hey, for an hour of entertainment, I'll charge, I can't remember their fees. I think it was something they were saying. They were quite lowballing it, but they were fine with that because it works for them. They said an hour of entertainment is about £250. And if they wanted someone to book them for 2 hours, they do £350. Okay, sounds good. Sounds all right. But at the end of the day, You've just said to your client that for an hour you're 250, which means if they want to spend a bit less, they'll be like, oh, could you just do 45 minutes instead? You've given a really easy way for someone to negotiate with you by saying, hey, I'm just going to take less entertainment. I'll just take less time. You're still going to turn up. You're still going to do some tricks, but instead of having an hour, let's have half hour.
I mean, that's the big problem. What's worse is in that situation, you charge 250 1 hour, 350 for 2. You've basically said that your hourly fee is £100. Not because that the first hour is 250, but because adding an extra, doubling the time, you've only added £100 onto that. You can do an hour of entertainment for £100. You've basically given them free rein to undercut the heck out of you. And that is not what you want in a client meeting whatsoever. And actually, it not only is it a bit awkward and stuff, but it means that your clients are much more likely to shop around. They're going to go to other entertainers, compare prices, put you every entertainer that they ever meet or ever see on the internet, all at the same level, and presume that you are capable of the same thing to the same standard and the same quality. It means that if you charge yourself at that £100 an hour mark, they can go to the next best entertainer, a professional entertainer that's been working 40 years and is by far one of the best in the country, for example, and see if they're £100 an hour, or see if they can get them for £100 an hour. So it actually shoots not just yourself in the foot, but it impacts your local area, your community, your overall country and magic overall. You're actually screwing over other entertainers by charging based on your time.
Well, this is a thing. Like, I don't think you're actually being useful to a client in general. They're asking you to put on entertainment at their event. Come on, it's a big thing. It's a big thing. Entertaining all of their friends and family and loved ones. Like, just take that. Like, the fact that they've put faith in you to take that job is a very big thing. And you've just gone, yeah, I'll rock up and do some magic for about an hour. It'll be this much. Exactly that, Aidan. They're going to write, Aidan, £250. I'm just using you as an example because I'm staring at you right down the camera. It wasn't me that was charging 250 quid for an hour, ladies and gents. But you never know. No, it was 20 quid if we look back at some of the old episodes and look at your first gig.
Yeah, no comment.
But yeah, no, if we say Aidan X mysterious, charges £250. So they're going to go, okay, let's look on this other one. Colin charges £300 and Brian charges £150. And they go, well, they all do magic. For an hour, we might as well go for the one with £50. They don't see any other value there. They just see a bunch of people that do tricks, and naturally they can just shop around and look for the cheapest option because you're all people that do tricks. You're not standing out in any particular way, and you're probably thinking, oh, there isn't another way of doing this, and oh, people are going to shop around anyway. I can say that when you listen to what we're going to say in just a minute, they won't, because I used to charge hourly, and I used to find this happen a lot. I used to find that people would try and negotiate me down or shop around and say they found someone else. But then I decided, rather than charging per hour, I would charge for a service or a package. I would actually build something in general that starts to solve problems for my client. I'd put that together and say, hey, here is a product that you can buy. And when I started doing that, I noticed one thing. My conversion rate went up. People didn't start shopping around, and people didn't start trying to negotiate me down, because that's a product and that's my price.
You know, it's one of those things, like, at the end of the day, the more problems you solve, the more valuable you are. And if you can solve those problems in a quicker and easier way, you are, again, more valuable. It's nothing to do with your value is not in your time at the event. Because at the end of the day, if you can achieve, like, what 2 hours of close-up mingling does, say at a wedding, for example, 2 hours of close-up mingling at a wedding, say the main benefit of you being at that mingling bit of the wedding is to break the ice, introduce different groups, blah, 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 blah. Maybe that's the approach you want to take. Well, if literally a 20-minute stand-up show for everybody would do the exact same thing, or maybe even do that better, have you just served your clients better? I mean, and this is ultimately a decision that you have to make here. Like, do you think you'll have served your clients better? For me, probably. Because what you've actually done is you've freed up their time and their running and their day and made it so much better, so much quicker. And actually, that's what people want. People want solutions to problems that aren't going to impact or negate their original plans and stuff. And by creating careful packages, which we have spoke about on a recent episode, by all means, scroll back on your podcast player and you'll find an entire episode on this subject. But if you start building and combining packages that solve more problems, that don't equate to just more time involvement, you will be more valuable. You can up your fee. You can actually get more people convert. And actually, you mentioned there that people probably won't shop around. Now, truth be told, I've pitched some of my packages, like these bespoke style packages, to clients, and they have shopped around. But they've always come back and said, yeah, it feels a bit like other entertainers are all a bit samey. Because other entertainers just aren't doing this, because, no prize for guessing why, they're charging time for money. They're basically charging tricks per hour ratio. Like, that's their way of thinking. Instead of like, look, I can do X, Y, Z for you. Your event needs X, Y, Z. Well, I can do that. Here is how.
Yeah. The time for money principle is something which companies have used for years upon years upon years. It's an old and outdated system that hasn't changed since, like, the Industrial Revolution and beyond. Like, it's very old, it's very outdated, and I'd argue it doesn't work. And even more so within our own businesses. When we're in our own businesses, it's not about time, because if you keep having to invest time to make money, well, you've only got so much time, so you're going to inhibit the amount of money that you can make.
Well, exactly. It comes out of this whole time for money thing. It comes out of that manufacturing production line. I think more specifically towards wartime stuff, when actually they're bringing these factories and they'd have to make either weapons or weapons associated materials in a short amount of time, and you'd get paid based on the number of bits that you produce per hour. That was your ratio. That's how you got paid. You got paid based on your output, and we kind of crossed that over into wider society overall. But that's a conversation in and of itself. And for anybody who is familiar with our Learn to Thrive program, it's our elite 7-week coaching program designed to get you to achieve two very clear objectives in 7 weeks, to be both thriving and hustle free. And part of the big hustle-free part is actually managing to detach your time from the actual output that you're actually making, the input and the output there. We want to basically free you up so you're not hustling away, pouring hours and hours and hours into performance mode, even though you might enjoy that. We don't want you performing more and more hours in, because as Ashley said, there's a big old cap on the top of that will stop you from actually seeing true significant growth, even if you love performing more. And we're not saying perform less. That's the important thing. We're just saying you can do your job a lot better if you think carefully about building the right packages. So, Ashley, where can people go if they want to find out more about maybe the Learn to Thrive program to actually achieve all of this in 7 weeks?
There you go. So straight after this podcast, I want you to bring up the good old interwebs and go on that search bar and type in thriveinmagic.com. Thriveinmagic.com. You can bring up all of the details there and you'll be able to click on and check out the old waitlist if you are interested for our next cohort to work closely with us so we can take an insight into your business, life and magic career overall.
Fantastic. And on that note, we're going to leave you into the world of the world. Into the world of the world. Definitely screwed that one up. Thanks for listening to this wonderful Just the Tip, ladies and gentlemen. We look forward to seeing you on the very next episode of the TSM podcast.
Well, that was a little tip. I think people enjoyed that. I think people enjoyed that one, Aidan.
I hope so. I try my best.